Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for this special Halloween edition of the Damian and Devlin Show. Today we are going to be reviewing Resident Evil. That was my way of trying to do what the video games do. You excited? You've never seen this?
Never seen it. I don't know what to expect. I'm sure I'll love it.
Roles reversed. Stay tuned to find out.
Hello, welcome to the Damian and Devlin Show, and this is our review of Resident Evil, the 2002 sci-fi action horror, I guess. Did I cover everything that it could fall under?
Kind of.
Directed by Paul W.S. Anderson and starring Mila Jovovich, Michelle Rodriguez, Eric Mabius, James Purefoy, and Martin Cruz, to name a few. Yeah, it's funny how it just came off my head.
Yeah, you're really good at recollecting things. No reading off of little cue cards at all.
And this was a movie that Damian recommended. He had seen it a couple of times, and I knew that these movies existed, and I knew they belonged to a video game, but I actually have never seen any of them, and he decided he wanted to share this one with me.
I'm a huge fan of the video game series. I first played the original on PlayStation 1 way back when it was first released in 1996, so I was 5 years old. Definitely not a game a 5-year-old should be playing at all, because it was very scary, very gory for the time, and the rest is history. I became a huge lifelong fan of the series through its ups and many downs, including the movie series. I have a lot to say about the series in general, so I'm going to rein myself in today and just talk specifically about this movie, because this actually is one of the movies of the entire franchise, movie-wise, that I enjoy. So, since you've never actually seen this, what did you think about it?
Well, first of all, I hope you're proud that I finally started calling it Resident Evil, because I have always called this Residential Evil.
That's right, you have.
And I actually asked you why it's called Resident Evil, because I thought, I'll watch the movie and then I'll finally understand, and I didn't, and I had to ask him. So I decided maybe you should tell us, for anybody else who doesn't because I've seen the first movie now, and I still don't know, except for what you told me, which made sense.
So the reason that they call it Resident Evil is just due to the fact that in Japan, the series is called Biohazard, and when they brought it over here to North America, I'm pretty sure the story goes that Biohazard was already copywritten. They couldn't create a new series based off of that, so they decided to name it something else. So they thought, what should we name it for our Western audiences? And basically, the first Resident Evil game is set in a mansion and very heavily inspired by another survival horror game called Sweet Home. And so, taking that name from that video game, they basically translated it into Resident Evil. And that's how we got the name Resident Evil. It has nothing to do with houses being evil. I mean, I guess the first game does, because it's set in a mansion filled with monsters. But that's why it's called Resident Evil.
All right, so there's my education. Because again, I don't know much about this. I knew it was a video game and stuff like that. My first take on this movie is I kept feeling like I was a night where I was invited to role play with people and do like a game, like a role playing game. And then when I got there, they told me you can't play. And you just watched a bunch of people that didn't know what the hell they were doing. And you're just like, why am I here? I did have some things I liked about this movie, but a lot of times I was annoyed.
There are actual tears.
Yes. I'm being honest. That's my first take, and all the way through I kept saying, oh wow, I probably would have rolled better, or I could have done that better. I've seen a couple video game movies that didn't always feel like a video game movie. This kind of did at times. And that's my first thing. Why don't you tell us what it's about before you tell us? Yeah.
So this movie, it definitely has the video game movie trope. A lot of people don't like it. I'm one of the folks that actually does like it. The basic premise is There is an outbreak in a lab, an Umbrella Corporation lab. No surprise to fans of the series there. The Umbrella Corporation sends in their USS, the Umbrella Security Service, I believe that's what it stands for, in to contaminate and contain the contamination and figure out what's going on. And they pick up a couple of people along the way that just so happen to be there. I can't really go into much else about things that happen in the movie without revealing too many spoilers. But that's basically the premise. Thing goes wrong in lab, team gets sent in, disaster. And it's pretty self-enclosed. It could have served well as just a standalone movie, but as you saw near the end of it, it leads right into movie number 2, which I also enjoy. Again, I'm kind of getting off track with the whole franchise here. But that's basically the premise of it. What you mentioned, you like a couple things. What did you like about it?
I thought the first little bit was a really good setup. The actual, with the releasing of the bio stuff and setting up that this, place is being
the hive.
The hive is being, somebody has broken in and is going to do damage to it. I thought it was a really nice setup. I don't even know this director, but I already have a bitter love-hate relationship with him because in the first half hour, I kept thinking, he's got a real interesting style that I was really intrigued by, and I was excited to see what he brought. But as the movie went on, I felt he started just relying on ridiculous things, and I was losing my faith in him as the movie went on, and I was really thinking, oh, I can't wait to see what he's going to bring. I still think there were moments that I thought were really well filmed, but then there were other moments that were just, were just like, oh my God, what's he going with here? And so I'm interested to see if I see any of these other films, if it gets better or if it gets...
So it definitely, I'm going to tell you this, it does not get better.
But you never know. That doesn't mean I might not like those.
You might enjoy it.
And that's... Some of the actors were very capable,
Capable is a great way to describe it.
Well, you know what? They were fine for what they had to work with. And there's nobody who can play Michelle Rodriguez like Michelle Rodriguez. I was telling you during the movie, she should literally just go by the name Michelle Rodriguez, and she becomes like this character in multiple movies.
Yeah,
I like her, but you said this is one of her earliest films, or one
so.
It
was 2002, which made me, when you realized, or when you said this movie is almost 20 years old, I was like, wait a second, no, 2002 is only like 5 years ago, and then I suddenly aged to my appropriate age right now. I was like, that's right, it is almost 20 years old. So I believe it was one of her first early appearances. Fast and the Furious definitely came before this, because I think that was 99.
Something like
2000. But yeah, she'd already been heavily typecast at this point, and it didn't get better for her then. Not to say that she's a bad actor. She's a great actress. I like to see Michelle Rodriguez. But yeah, when her name comes up, you definitely know what you're going to get from her.
Okay, that's my good stuff. So it's your time. It's your turn now.
Okay, so I said I like this movie. I used to have, I told you this, but I'll tell everybody else. I used to have this thing as a kid where I would seek out things that would scare me, and I guess it's a case of having played the original game at such a young age that I just became addicted to getting scared. So when this movie was released, I remember going to Blockbuster with my mom, renting it on DVD, and then during the summer I had nothing to do because school's out. I had a copy of Resident Evil, but did I watch it during the day? No, I waited till nighttime. However, the caveat is I had to have all the lights on in the apartment to watch it. It scared me that much. Why didn't I watch it during the day? Why do kids do anything? Who knows? But there are a lot of good things that I like about this movie. So the fact that you only said a couple of the actors were capable, maybe only a couple of the scenes that you saw were shot in an excellent way, that baffles me a little. I feel like this movie is very tight, action-packed. It's got a lot of suspense in it. The physical effects that they do, like for the zombies and whatnot, some of them are pretty good. For example, You shaking your head?
No, I've
my
seen
God.
enough zombie films
Well,
to see
The
such
Walking
different
Dead
stuff.
sets the standard, but you got to remember this is 2002. Okay, I feel like you right now defending a movie from the 40s, and
But
here you
that's
are lambasting
what
the
we
graphics.
do. You want my honest opinion, or you want me to
I
just
want your
lie?
honest
You know.
opinion. However,
Yeah.
I'm going to emphasize something. There is a physical effect near the end of the movie. Somebody dies, and it's quite obvious that their face and their whole front of their body has been ripped apart, and you can see flesh dangling. I feel like the practical effects are pretty good for the most part. I feel the acting is pretty good for the most part. A lot of the characters don't last more than 20 minutes in the movie, so don't get attached to anybody really quickly in this movie. I'll just give you a heads up there. But for the ones that do last, I found that I enjoyed all of them in their own particular way. A couple of them survive to go on to other movies. Everybody knows Mila Jovovich is on to the other movies. She's the front cover star, and she basically leads the franchise. And I feel like she did a good job. I don't know if she was in anything before this. Do you?
I think I've seen her in stuff. Was she not in The Fifth Element?
Oh,
I
that's
believe?
right.
Yes.
Yeah, then she was in.
I don't know if that was before or after,
95,
but I think that's him too, right? Is that director?
Paul
too?
W.S. Anderson?
I don't know. We're off on a tangent.
Yeah,
but
we haven't
I
seen
do
her
know I
yet.
have seen her in movies.
I love the music. The music in this, I know you were complaining a lot about the music. You kept making, it sounds like there's a rave next door, and the zombies just going to be dancing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
I liked the music. It was very of its time, though. It's very early 2000s kind of synth wave, and I think it's cool. I guess I do because I was raised in that era, and a lot of the movies that I was watching at the time had this happen. But the random kind of slow motion thing, so if you punch somebody, they fall back and it'll go in slow motion, then speed up again, and then they'll just kind of interchange between fast motion, slow motion. I like that style of filming for action movies, which you said this is kind of action horror
It
suspense.
does, yeah.
I
If
like
they
it.
did that, yeah. If
They did do that.
No, they had scenes where, like, Mila would turn around in slow motion, and then there'd be this really fast action sequence, and they'd always use the slow motion at weird places.
I
It was
disagree.
dumb, yeah.
I
I felt they used slow motion for the weirdest thing. I'm loading a gun.
I thought it was
And
cool.
but it's
cool.
not like they used it on the actual action scenes. Okay, go for it.
All right. I like that. The music is good. There's an especially great song that was, I believe, produced for this album. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong on that. I am wrong on that. Slipknot does a version for this song at the end called My Plague, and they redid it. Basically, they re-recorded it for this movie, and it's a very good very good song. Originally appears on the Iowa album, which I was thinking is a little bit earlier, but overall I like the music. Let's hear what you didn't like about the movie.
Oh, is that all your good stuff? I think I said more good stuff.
No, I said more.
Well, people must get tired of me saying this, but I had no investment in the characters. They don't build any characters. Everything is... I have seen slasher movies where the victims had better... character development. It was like here, when I don't know their names and I'm saying pretty eyes, blonde girl, Michelle Rodriguez, I'm still calling her that. Guy in a blue shirt, guy who's supposed to be like a nerd, but you can tell he's got muscles and everything. I wasn't invested. As the story went along, I know I was supposed to be more invested in the Mila thing, but I'd seen so many movies who had done the whole, I have no memory, or anything so much better. Even when there's a big reveal in this, and I won't give it away, I thought that was kind of nifty, but I even thought that was sloppily done. There's one action sequence that I really liked, and I will say there was a couple of production sets I liked.
Yeah.
There's a laser sequence that I thought was well done. Then there's an actual battle which gave me some hope that there was going to be some really awesome action sequences at least. But after that main time where they meet up with the zombies, all the action sequences where I didn't know what was going on half the time. There's a sequence with these awesome dogs, and I expected it to be a great scene.
It is a great scene.
You don't see anything happening in it. You see a close-up of a dog's eye. a shot. Then you see Mila, because the director's really in love with her. You can tell they got together. And you don't see much. She even drop kicks one, and all you see, it looks like a piece of meat that they've thrown. But you honestly, if you watch that scene, I would sit there and show you, you don't see any of the action. Like, we can't afford to put these dogs in the movie because we spent all the money on the weird biohazard guy that I won't, that doesn't give anything away, which
it's called the liquor.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
The liquor.
Which to me didn't even fit in the movie. It seemed like that's got to be your final level in the video game. And so, but I just felt when it shows up, it looked cool if that was what the movie was about, but it seemed like a last minute thing, and I'm sure it's not. It was probably in the video game, but to me it just didn't fit. I found it really pretentious that the hologram that tells you everything, because this movie is so much just telling you stuff.
It's a lot of exposition.
And it's like, we have to have this, I'm going to make it my daughter. So here's this high-tech hive, but here's this little girl with a British accent just going on.
So this is because you're not a fan of the video game series, and that's not your fault, because I'm sure people watching agree.
But if you make a movie, you shouldn't have
that's
to
right.
be. Right.
And I will agree with you on that. There's not a lot of explanation for non-fans. I know because I'm a fan of the video game. I know who that is. I know whose daughter that is. But for you non-fans, I agree. They dropped the ball. They expected everybody going into this movie to be a fan of the video game series, and they didn't do anything to cater to newcomers. So I'm with you on that, 100%.
And if you're going to adapt a video game, it's got to be like when you adapt a movie or a book or a TV series. You got to remember that you want people that didn't just read the book or play the video game. So for me, when this pretentious hologram shows up, to me, it just seemed like, oh, really, are they going in this direct route? But when she eventually explains the zombies, this is what I remember. I asked you a couple weird questions. Like I said, is this set in the future? Yeah. And you said, no, it's current times.
Yeah, it was like modern day.
And I'm thinking to myself, when they hear about the zombies or whatever you want to call them in this, they literally act as if they have never heard of the term zombies or never watched Night of the Living Dead or any of the hundreds of movies that would have been produced before this. Like, these people are like, oh. And what's worse is there are so many moments where these people are blatantly zombies and they just wait. I'm going to wait before they got to be right this close before I do anything about it. And it really made me annoyed. They'd come to life as a zombie and they're watching it. Oh, I guess it's a zombie. Then you're watching it for seconds and yet still a zombie, but still not going to do anything. And this happens so many times. The Mila character just sits and looks at people like, yeah, I should do something about this. Yeah. Okay, now's a good time. Oh, I thought of a snap. There's a part where she actually looks like she's thinking of, oh, I have a funny line now. I can kill them. And it's not even that great a line, but it sounds like, oh, she was spending her time waiting to come up with that snappy line. Nobody's around to enjoy it except for us. And the jump scares in this are just like, I understand, little Damian, I love that story that you were frightened. But the jump scares in this are so ridiculous.
They are
people.
Overboard.
Yeah, like just everything. And I'm going to end my negatives with, you know what? I will start with a positive on the negatives. The Slipknot song wasn't bad compared to every other piece of music in this movie.
Oh my God.
And you know what? The rave stuff was just annoying to me because that just sounded like there were scenes where they're trying to have emotional scenes. And I kept thinking, are they having a dance club? Is Club 54 in the next room? And I asked you, is there a rave going on? Is there zombies going like this? But that's not even the thing that annoyed me the most. Every time there was an action sequence, it was like as soon as the first gun goes off, this comes on, which killed all...
Say that again.
And it basically took away all the suspense. They're like climbing and they've got zombies coming and all I got is... You know, it sounds like this guy was like, I'm going to modernize Alien. Like, if they rebooted the movie Alien, they'd say, we're going to take all the slow bits out. We're not going to have that, like, mysterious music. We're going to put, like... So
you missed all the mysterious music.
No, it was not there.
No, there were definitely...
Yeah.
So, I like the music. I'm going to defend it here.
No.
The music was great.
No.
It had great homages to Resident Evil soundtracks in the past, particularly the first game.
Again, if you're a video game fan, you're like,
music. You don't have to be a video game fan to enjoy this music.
It's not. Music. I have no problem with that kind of music in the right setting. But when it sucks the suspense out of the movie because it's like, oh, we better put some live music because people who play the video game are nodding off right now because we can't have 5 minutes to have a conversation.
It adds to it. It adds suspense. It adds anxiety. Adds tension. Coming from somebody that raves about the Xanadu soundtrack.
Oh,
Rain Man
fits the movie. It fits the movie. This, you know.
All right. Here's what I don't like about the movie. I agree with you. Not very introductory to non-fans of the series. That's always a big no-no. You want to make sure that you can bring in as many people as possible because people that like the movie might want to check out the video game and vice versa. That's why I watched the movie, and I've seen movies of video games which have been very good, and I said, oh, I'm going to go play that now, see what it's actually like. So the fact that they dropped the ball huge on that, out of it. Characters, again, a lot of them don't expect them to survive to the sequel. The ones that do stick around, like Mila Jovovich's character, I do like her. Her name is Alice, by the way. And not that that's ever revealed in the movie. No. Again, I have not seen this movie since I was a child, and I was waiting. Occasionally they'll throw somebody's name here and there, but then I'll be like, who are they again? There's no introduction. There's no, here, I'm this person, here's what we're here for. They kind of just throw you right in to the movie, and that's not a great sense of, hey, I'm going to get attached to this character. A lot of the CGI did not age well. I had not realized how bad the CGI was in particular instances with regards to the liquor enemy. It's introduced at the beginning, and they do a lot of close-ups of like muscle tissue, a brain, and that looks fine. Yeah. But once it busts out of its cage and you see it crawling along the walls and whatnot, it kind of has like an Alien 3 vibe where it just kind of drags you out of it.
Yeah, I think I didn't mind it, but I found the far away shots did look kind of like you could almost see
like an outline.
The lines. Yes, that's right. Outline. Yes, that's what I got. But the close-ups weren't bad.
The close-ups are okay.
I thought they held up okay.
Those dogs that you mentioned are actually one of the few times CGI is used well, and maybe that's why they chose not to show them, is because they realized, okay, the liquor doesn't look so great.
The dogs look great. It's just
I think so
when
too.
They're not existent in an action scene, it bothered me.
I'll agree with that. This whole thing altogether, what are you giving it?
Before I get to my rating, I just wanted to kind of end with a positive so people don't think I'm totally negative. I could see, I'm not a big video game player. I'm old school, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong. And I have played a couple of modern ones, but I could see how this might be more of an interesting video game to play than watching as a movie. I just wanted more investment in the characters because you know me, I'm all about that. Given that said, I'm going to be overly generous and give this a 2 out of 5, and I'm not sure why I'm being overly generous.
Yeah, why are you being overly
I don't know, because I don't usually fail movies too often, because that's considered a low for me.
It's about 45.
Something tells me I should go 1.5, but I am going to be 2. Okay. Maybe because although the actors and actresses weren't fleshed out, they were good to look at. So
hey,
there was no uglies in the bunch. That's horrible to say. But they were all pretty. And
there is a lot more full frontal nudity on Mila Jovovich than I remembered as a child.
That's how young he was when he watched this, because he didn't notice that.
No, when it came back.
Damian noticed it this time.
Yeah, I did, and it was great. One quick fact for those out there, this is one of those rare moments where movie actually inspires video game, because if you're a video game fan, you know movie adaptations of video games are often usually pretty bad. However, this movie actually inspired Resident Evil 4 with that sequence you enjoyed. The laser sequence was actually incorporated into the 4th game because everybody loves that sequence. For me, I'm giving this movie a 3.5 out of 5. I truly enjoy it. For fans of the series, I think you'll enjoy the first one too, because it has not yet careened off the rails that the franchise goes down. So 3.5 out of 5 for me. And
if you're going to show me other ones in the series, we should see them all before we see the 3rd Matrix.
Not going to happen.
Damn.
Not going to happen.
Because I would watch this again if you told me Matrix or this again. I guess I'm seeing the Matrix soon.
Oh, you definitely are. And who knows, it might be next week. You gotta stay tuned so that you are always on board with what we are doing. Thank you so much for joining us today. Share this with your friends, subscribe so you never miss a beat, and comment down below. Let us know what you thought of Resident Evil. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Resident Evil.
You're all going to die down here.